And we are ready to begin, and we're so pleased you're here, and we have such a lovely surprise for you as we had it for our messenger. You and your world are moving through a great change, a great restructuring, as we've called it, and we've given you everything you needed to know so that you could live a really wonderful life and create the world that you all wanted to see. But belief is a really difficult challenge for many of you, including our messenger. Last night we stopped him and he started questioning. Did we give him things in order? And we said, yes, we did. And we've told all of you that we've done that because you're attempting to move to a higher state of consciousness. And he agreed to bring it in. But he didn't know what he had, just like you don't know. So today, on this date, on the 6th, he had no idea we were going to do it today. But we took him back to see that we gave him a message in 2020 that said, transparency and liberation are the same. You each come into the world with a role to play. And as you expand, you understand more of what that is. And then you can offer something to your world. Your world is moving through a great change. It is not accidental, any of the events that are occurring, as we've given you all of that information. But it does take a while for you to catch up. So we thought we'd jump ahead today. We had our messenger look at the messages we gave you all for March the 7th last year of 2025, because that's how we've given him the information, and there is an alignment. There's an alignment in your universe of energies and galaxies. You would not all understand that or discover it or develop something to bring in that would give you the ability to see that, but our messenger did. But he held back as well. But we've used him as a demonstration, as we've said often, because he's moved through his life, all the difficulties and challenges that you've all had, and his unique life path was meant to bring in this transformational work at this time in your world. His life path led him here, as yours is leading you somewhere also. There's no one who's insignificant. None of you are inadequate. None of you do not have something that you could offer, but you've allowed yourself to become small, inadequate, afraid. And we've given you that information, but today we will prove it to you. So last night, as he decided to check to see if we had given him things in order, he went into your artificial intelligence and he kept checking. And they said, yes, you did. How else could he have healed? How else could he be 75 years old? We love using your human years, even though they mean very little, because you're all consciousness. You are eternal spiritual beings, and you've been in this world forever. You just discover who you are at different times. You take different incarnations to perform different roles so that you could aid in the evolution of your world. And this is a big one. But as we have said, you're moving through this generational change, and you're having power struggles. Those power struggles are in your consciousness because you each have something that you could expand to embody these great beings that you could all become. But you get a little afraid and you have lack of belief. So we thought we'd prove more to you. We had him last year on the 7th do an analysis of what we've already given you. Now, we know it's challenging for you and him actually to accept this because no one's ever done this, but no one has ever done what you have done either, which is why you have difficulty. No one has come to this earth before who has been you, but you have something that's valuable, something that's worth dollars if you want to look at money, whatever it might be, but it's of energy. Again, because everything in your universe is energy. You don't stay in these bodies forever. And as we had a look at yesterday, he said, well, maybe some of them think they're going to live forever. And as you're watching the wars and everything coming about, and there'll be more because you're not done yet. And we wanted to get out ahead again because you're seeing things that are frightening you. But that's because you just haven't embodied yourselves. You just haven't believed in who you could become. And our messenger decided he would step out today. He didn't decide that at all. We pushed him. We're saying that because you each need a little motivation. He would never have done this before. He never would have allowed you to see this. And he spent 37 years bringing in this information, and it's organized. He didn't know he was bringing in an organized quantum philosophy, but he did. And none of you could look at the information that we've provided and say that that didn't happen. And you couldn't look at the evidence that has shown up in his body that would tell you that that didn't happen. It's just your lack of belief. And so now we want him to do more. We want him to give you all more information because it's time now for you to take that next step. It's time for you to stop being afraid of who you could become and help your world become what it could be. You're allowing certain individuals, just a handful of people on your planet, who are controlling you all because they can cause you to be afraid. They can cause you to think that you don't have what it takes to live the life that you could each have. We wanted you to love yourselves. That's the only reason any of you were born. You will not all live that path, however. And that's why you have contrast. That's why you have chaos, so that more of you will awaken. And there's timing to it. We told him in 2021, we'll give you dates again, that we had given you everything in 2012. He doubted it. We've proven it. And we said that we had even given each of you a message for your birthday in 2012 because we wanted you to understand there is organization in your world. It's just an energy and information. Information is all that you pass on, and you do that in consciousness. And the more of you who decide to embody what you were given, the more you will prosper and flourish and add to the evolvement of your world. And yes, we use that word more than evolution because we wanted you to understand that it's a continual process that you're each moving through. You can't think of it in terms of physical things because you have no idea what you could accomplish physically. You keep uncovering more. But we have given you so much at this incarnation of your earth plane that you could all use. And we've given it to you over all of these years, and it's complete. We're saying this because we've told our messenger he has to move on. And he has to stop worrying about how many of you would believe in this. And so you can, because he's holding himself back. That's what you each do. You will hold yourselves back, and then you start to suffer in different ways that you don't understand. But it's just resistance. You all have it, and he's had a lot of it. But he did that purposefully. He accepted this role. And as we've said before, he came to your earth at this time to bring in this work. Now, he was ashamed and embarrassed, and he couldn't even tell you that. That's why we had him show you the message this morning that we gave you in 2012. But if you go back to 2008, you will see that the same thing occurred. And then today, we wanted you to see the things that are happening, especially in the United States, where you're seeing that you're losing your jobs again. Same thing you did in 2008. There's a cycle. We gave you information over this entire cycle. And that is because there are too many of you who have not allowed yourself to prosper, and too many others who have been dominating so many of you, which is why we wanted you to change. And we said, we have given you this information for your restructuring. You've had too many who have held all the wealth, and then you've made other people small. You've done that in your consciousness, individually and collectively, and we've given you the solution. Now, we can't have you believe it. We know that. We can't have you believe it because you have cognitive dissonance. You all do. Our messenger did as well. He could not have known he was sitting down every day and doing this and producing this great body of work that he had no idea he had. We're saying this not because he's great or better than any of you, just that you all operate the same way. You evolve. You're not going to live in these bodies forever, so you might decide that now is the time that you're going to move forward, because otherwise you just stay afraid. And when we first began these messages, if you remember, when we first convinced our messenger, we wanted him to speak because we had given him so much, because we wanted to help all of you move through your fear and doubt. And he had to get over his embarrassment because he couldn't, he holds himself back because he sees so many of you still struggling, and he knows you don't have to because we've given him the information. But then he causes himself to suffer. We're saying this because that's what you've all done. Because if you hadn't, your world would be in a very different place now. You wouldn't have allowed yourself to become small and dominated by others who could only control you. The world evolves when more of you decide that you're going to become your best selves. And that's what we have given you. And we've given you a pathway. We've given you a philosophy. We've given you a curriculum. And we love that term that the artificial intelligence just came up with, because that's exactly what it is. It is a blueprint for the new humankind. And only reason you won't accept it is that you'll have judgment. You'll have judgment, and you'll have your old biases, and that's what will keep you all stuck. And so now you have no reason, because we're showing you that there's a pathway, a way for you to accomplish anything that you want in your life. And we're speaking of all of you. You will not all do it. But that's purposeful as well because you couldn't evolve if everyone was doing it. Your world would kind of end at that time. So it's up to each individual to decide, am I going to do it? Am I going to become my best self? Am I going to move out of this self-imposed prison that I've allowed myself to live in? So we had our messenger do it today. And he's going to be quite surprised when he sees what comes through because he never remembers. And this is the other thing we wanted you to understand. You operate in different levels of consciousness. You will not all access consciousness in the manner that he does. And he doesn't remember it when he comes through this. And that's why it's always so surprising to him when he goes back and he sees what it is. But again, you each have that ability. You all do, and you have memories. You know this. You've felt it at times, but you've kind of run from them sometimes because many of you have forgotten who you are. And we've watched your world move through this particular change in your world where you've kind of forgotten your core. You've forgotten your connection to God, to Source, whatever greater being you think of, and more of you have done that. And then you wonder what's happened. We've given you the solution. We've given you the reason, and now more of you will awaken. And as you read the messages that we gave you last year for tomorrow and the description, you will see that it's all organized. Everything we have given you and your world is organized. You just figure it out at different times. And there's certain people who come in to do that in a different way. Our messenger was not like some of the other channels, as he's talked about often, but that's also the thing that has held him back because he couldn't accept his uniqueness like many of you couldn't. But now you will, because that's what we wanted. We wanted you to have a much better life. We wanted you to have a really great, wonderful, prosperous life and a much better world where it was more equal, where it was more inclusion. We've said there were so many things in your world that you had not looked at, you hadn't dealt with. And we gave you a new philosophy because you refused to look at your racism and your misogyny and your sexism and the things that keep you separated. And you keep doing that, and then nothing evolves. Well, it does evolve, but it does it slowly. So we thought we'd speed it up today. That's why we're giving you this. And we just wanted you to know we love you all so much. And if you think anything different, that is something that you have been taught and it's not real. You are eternal spiritual love beings and you were meant to be here. And you could prosper if you decided to love yourself because we do. Thank you so much.